Yo, what's going on YouTube and Twitch? We're back with another video and streaming. Right here we have the storm that drowned an entire state, Katrina 2005 by Dark Rising. Now the thing is about Hurricane Katrina, bro, we always used to make jokes about this back in like elementary school, bro, or middle school, bro. Like, we didn't even know what the hell this meant. We didn't know. We was just saying anything, bro. We was just saying literally anything. We was just saying, oh, your mom is as big as Hurricane Katrina. Like, what? Like, it's really stupid if you think about it. Because we had all types of jokes. We had the eye cup joke. That was not funny at all. That was just a weird joke. Now that I'm really thinking about it, that was just too childish, bro. It was just stupid. But now I'm finally able to watch the full video. I just randomly came across this video on my For You page, and yeah, let's hop into it.
2005, August 29th, 2005. It's early morning on the Gulf Coast, and one of the most powerful hurricanes in American history is bearing down on the city of New Orleans. Meteorologists had been watching Katrina for days. What started as a disorganized cluster of storms in the Bahamas had exploded into a Category 5 monster over the Gulf of Mexico, the first to form there in 25 years.
Hurricane Katrina is still blowing strong tonight, building in strength as it heads across the Gulf of Mexico, and it's expected to hit land.
And my bad for pausing this, but another thing is, like, bro, people used to make jokes about like people and call them Katrina, bro. If y'all remember that, bro, it used to be like basically everybody would just be roasting each other, and they would just call a person that's like of my skin color, like that's a female Katrina, bro. I know I'm yapping, but it's just too many memories.
Second time.
Ladies and gentlemen, I wish I had better news for you, but I do want the citizens to understand that this is very serious and it's of the highest nature. The first choice for every citizen is to figure out a way to leave the city.
By the time evacuation orders went out, over 1 million people had already left. But tens of thousands couldn't, or didn't.
Why?
And what was coming for them was far worse.
Why didn't they leave?
Imagine. Because the storm wasn't the only threat. What destroyed the city had been quietly failing for 40 years, and every single engineer who looked at it knew it. They wrote reports. They ran simulations. Just 1 year before the storm, the government modeled exactly what would happen if it broke. The results were catastrophic, and nothing was done.
See, this is why you should hear about something and then you should immediately gather all your things and just leave, bro. This right here, this is the reason.
What happened next didn't just flood a city. It drowned an entire state.
Now that's wild to think about it though. That's mad wild.
To understand what happens on August 29th, 2005, you first have to understand what New Orleans is, and why it was always one catastrophic storm away from disappearing.
Yo, they had some crazy cameras back then, bro.
New Orleans sits in southern Louisiana, wedged between Lake Pontchartrain to the north and the Mississippi River to the south. It is one of the most geographically vulnerable cities in the world. Much of the city lies below sea level.
Yeah, I heard about that.
As much as 10 feet below. The only reason New Orleans exists at all in its current form is because of an enormous interlocking system of levees, flood walls, and drainage canals that hold back the surrounding water on every side.
Man, if y'all really think about it, like, anything could happen. Another flood could happen. And I'm not even trying to put a curse on the people from there, bro. But like, this is wow. What is this layout, bro? This is insane. This layout is actually crazy. This is crazy, bro. What type of layout is that? New
Orleans doesn't flood, it sinks, and everyone in the city knew it. For generations this system worked, and for generations the people of New Orleans lived with the quiet understanding that it had to keep working, because the alternative was unthinkable. But there was a problem that engineers and scientists had been raising for years. The levees protecting New Orleans had been built by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers over several decades, and many of them were not built to withstand a major hurricane. Studies going back to the 1990s had modeled what would happen if a large, slow-moving storm made a direct hit on the city. The results
Oh yeah,
were
that's going
consistently
over.
alarming.
That's going over and onto
In
their land.
2004, 1 year before Katrina, FEMA funded a disaster simulation exercise called Hurricane Pam. It looked at what would happen if a slow-moving Category 3 hurricane hit New Orleans directly. The simulation predicted tens of thousands of deaths, a city completely submerged, a humanitarian catastrophe of a scale the United States had never experienced. When researchers presented their findings to federal officials, they recall the room not taking it seriously. One
What?
scientist described feeling like, quote,
The whole idea was Hurricane Pam was to educate,
but, there were a lot of federal folks who were just in the back room laughing. I distinctly got the feeling that I was the geek with a strange accent, and that was it. The warnings were there.
See?
The problem wasn't
People don't listen,
a lack
bro.
of information. It was what happened next. On August 23rd, 2005, a tropical depression formed over the southeastern Bahamas. Within 24 hours, the depression strengthens into Tropical Storm Katrina.
Is that Florida?
It moves west, crosses the Bahamas, and
Yeah,
on
it
August
is.
25th, makes its first landfall in South Florida
Yeah, it is
as
Florida.
a Category 1 hurricane with 80 miles per hour winds.
And I guess it just got bigger over time. Now that's crazy. Look at the palm trees, bro. Don't ever do what this guy's doing, bro.
It kills 14 people and moves into the Gulf of Mexico, where it weakens briefly over land before encountering something that changes everything. Something that would make Katrina impossible to stop. The Gulf of Mexico in late August is warm, unusually warm. The water temperatures Katrina moves over are around 30 degrees Celsius, essentially high-octane fuel for a tropical system. A strong divergence in the upper-level airflow above the storm allows it to rapidly expel heat and intensify with almost nothing holding it back. The results are staggering. On August 27th, Katrina reaches Category 3 strength. The following morning, just after midnight, it is upgraded to Category 4. By 7 a.m. on August 28th, Katrina has become a Category 5 hurricane, the first to form in the
That's what I'm saying. It just got bigger over. It just got bigger over time.
Gulf of Mexico in 25 years, with maximum sustained winds of 175 miles per hour.
You're done.
Its
You're
central
done.
pressure drops to 902 millibars, making it one of the most intense Atlantic hurricanes ever recorded. At 10 a.m. on August 28th, New Orleans Mayor Ray Nagin issues the first mandatory evacuation order in the city's history.
Ladies and gentlemen, I wish I had better news for you, but we are facing a storm that most of us have feared. I do not want to create panic, but I do want the citizens to understand.
I know bro's like
very
nerves was just
serious,
running, bro.
and
I
it's
know
of
bro
the
was
highest
nervous.
nature, and that's why we're taking this unprecedented move. The storm is now a Cat 5, a Category 5, as I appreciate it. So that's why we're ordering the
All the people in the room probably nervous right now.
It is, by
Probably was
any
nervous in there,
measure,
bro.
the right call. It is also, for many residents, already too late to fully act on. Those without cars, those who are elderly, those who are ill. For hundreds of thousands of people, the order to leave is not the same as the ability.
Man, exceed the speed limit, bro.
Forecasters
Do
of the
something, I don't
National
know.
Hurricane Center issue warnings that
Escape.
are among the most dire ever written for an American city. One bulletin, released on the afternoon of August 28th, states that the storm surge could cause the levee system to be overtopped, that human suffering will be incredible, that water shortages will make human existence nearly impossible. The bulletin warns of areas that may be uninhabitable for weeks.
Wait, so
The language
how
is
do you,
almost unprecedented for an official weather forecast. But even as those words are being written, Katrina is already beginning to weaken slightly as it moves over slightly cooler waters closer to shore. By the time it makes landfall, it is no longer a Category 5.
It's a
The
hurricane.
damage that is coming has already been set in motion. The surge, the enormous wall of ocean water
flood.
pushed ahead of the storm, was built during Katrina's peak intensity. By the time Katrina made landfall, it was no longer a Category 5, but the most dangerous part of the storm had already been created. At 6:10 a.m. on August 29th,
Hurricane
2005,
flood.
Hurricane Katrina makes landfall at
Let's say
Buras,
2004.
Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, approximately 50 miles southeast of New Orleans, as a strong Category 3 hurricane with maximum sustained winds of 125 miles per hour. Its central pressure at landfall is 920 millibars, the fourth lowest ever recorded for a U.S. landfalling hurricane. It then continues northeast and makes a second landfall near the Mississippi-Louisiana border. Initially, federal officials believe the city has dodged the worst of it. The eye of the storm has passed slightly east of New Orleans. The wind damage is serious, but survivable. For a brief period on the morning
Dang,
of August 29th,
twin.
there is a sense of cautious relief. It doesn't last. Before dawn, waves from the storm surge had already begun overtopping and eroding levees along the Mississippi
Got
River
so bad, bro
Gulf
had to wipe
outlet.
his lens.
At around 5 a.m., on the east side of the Inner Harbor Navigation Canal, a 30-foot section of flood wall, known locally as the Industrial Canal, the very waterway that experts had long warned would act as a deadly funnel, breaches. Water begins pouring through.
Wow. And I was gonna ask this. I wonder, not I asked this, but I wonder if they did anything with this area right here and kind of built it up, or did it form into something different? Does it like actually like, does it hold up for the day and like stop floods from happening nowadays, like in 2026, 2025? Like, if this happened again, would it be able to get over this, whatever this is? I wonder if they built something where it kind of made the land different right here. Did my dang headphone just cut out again? I hate when it keeps doing that. It keeps doing that. Alright.
Then a second breach opens. Then another.
Oh, that's wild.
Over the course of the next 24 hours, there will be more than 50 reported failures in the levee and flood wall system surrounding New Orleans. The water does not rise slowly. It surges. In the lower 9th Ward, residents describe walls of water appearing without warning.
Bro, who is that, bro? This is why I can't wait to move, bro.
Filling rooms in seconds. People who had chosen to ride out the storm in their homes
I gotta add soundproof foam over there, too.
suddenly find the water at their waist, then at their chest, then above their head. Those who can reach their attics do. Those who cannot, do not.
Hold the rope. Let him pull to the boat. Hey,
That tide is taking him out.
Later, rescuers will find
Wait,
axe
I think he-
marks in
I think he
attic
got across.
ceilings across the flooded neighborhoods. The marks of people who had managed to hack their way onto rooftops to escape the rising water inside. Some made it, some did not.
There's Roblox games like this. This
By
is
the
wild.
afternoon of August 29th, 20% of New Orleans is underwater. By August 31st, that number reaches 80%. Some parts of the city are submerged
Dang,
under
so it's been
15
flooding
feet
for
of
a
water.
while?
The famous French Quarter and Garden District, among the oldest parts of the city, and crucially, among the few areas built above sea level, are largely spared. But the vast residential neighborhoods that surround them are gone. Lakeview, the lower 9th Ward, St. Bernard area, Gentilly, New Orleans East.
You know what? I'm actually search this up because I'm extremely curious. I wonder if these still exist. Oh, it really doesn't. Hold on. Wait, chat, it does exist. Look at this. Wait, it's when was this? Yeah, I think this still exists. Cause hold on. In 2026. In April 2026, Lakeview, New Orleans remains a highly competitive, desirable neighborhood with strong sellers homes. So we're not going to talk about Hurricane Katrina? Now that's a little bit weird. Something's wrong. Something's wrong. Something's wrong.
These are not flooded, they are submerged. As the system failed, the disaster shifted from infrastructure to people. Tens of thousands of people who could not evacuate seek shelter in two locations, the Louisiana Superdome and the New Orleans Convention Center. At the Superdome, roughly 15,000 people arrive before the storm. What follows is a humanitarian crisis that unfolds on live television in front of the entire country. Food runs out. Water runs out. Toilets stop working. The roof of the Superdome is partially torn open by the wind. People are sleeping on concrete floors in 95-degree heat.
40,000 homes flooded in St. Bernard Parish just east of New Orleans. At the Superdome, home to 9,000 storm refugees, chunks of the metal roof have been blown away. The stench of death especially strong around the convention center in the Superdome, where people have moved into the open air as they try to get away from it and closer to where buses and National Guardsmen can get to them.
We've been out here 4 days. We've really been out here 4 days.
Days pass before buses arrive to move people out. Outside, the city is a different kind of chaos. Thousands of people who are stranded in flooded homes communicate their locations however they can. Spray painting rooftops, waving from upper story windows, calling family members who call news stations, who call emergency services. The response from local, state, and federal authorities is widely criticized as slow, uncoordinated, and inadequate.
As always, bro. Federal, all that other stuff, they slow for certain things, bro.
FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, faces fierce criticism for its lack of preparation and its failure to mobilize resources quickly enough for a disaster that its own simulations had predicted in detail. One of the most haunting images of the entire disaster is the sight of people, mostly elderly, many of them without the means to leave, stranded on elevated highway overpasses in the August heat, surrounded by floodwater, waiting for help that takes days to arrive. Doris Commerdell, a 93-year-old woman from Chalmette in St. Bernard Parish, is rescued from her flooded home after spending several days trapped there. She had lived in the same house for decades. When rescuers reached her, she had been surviving on what little food she had managed to move to her second floor. Her neighborhood, like most of St. Bernard Parish, was completely destroyed. She never returned. The death toll accumulated slowly, because for days and then weeks, the full scale of what has happened is impossible to assess. Victims are found in attics, in flooded cars, in homes.
Please help us, people, dog, cat. What? Oh, one dog, one cat, people.
Who could not get out.
5 people.
Nearly 40% of the fatalities are attributed to drowning.
Dang,
almost
bro.
half of all victims are over the age of 74. The storm did not kill randomly. It killed the people who had the fewest options.
Now that storm is actually crazy, bro.
The official death toll from Hurricane Katrina, revised by the National Hurricane Center in 2023, stands at approximately 1,400 people. The total damage reaches an estimated $125 billion, making it one of the costliest natural disasters in American history. In Louisiana alone, over 1,500 people lose their lives. More than 134,000 housing units in New Orleans, 70% of all occupied homes in the city, sustain damage. 1 million housing units across the broader Gulf Coast region.
I didn't get a full research about like when these things got flooded and after do people still live there. Yes, people still live in the areas. The areas hit by Hurricane Katrina in 2005, though many regions had not have returned to their pre-storm populations at level as 2006. A major restoration and rebuilding efforts have occurred over the last 20 years. The overall population of the hardest hit areas remains lower than it was before the disaster. The city of New Orleans have roughly... Wait, so this is noun? Okay, so they have ongoing projects. All right.
Are affected. The population of New Orleans falls from nearly 485,000 before the storm to an estimated 230,000 by July of the following year. More than half the city gone. Some neighborhoods never recover. The lower 9th Ward, one of the hardest hit areas, remains visibly scarred for years. Empty lots where houses once stood, streets that were rebuilt but never repopulated. In June 2006, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers officially acknowledges that faulty design specifications, incomplete sections, and substandard construction of levee segments contributed to the flooding of New Orleans. A subsequent analysis by the American Society of Civil Engineers concludes that 2/3 of the flooding could have been avoided if the levees had held. The deadliest aspect of Hurricane Katrina was not the storm. It was the infrastructure failure that followed it. And that infrastructure failure was not inevitable. It was preventable.
Nah, look at the bus that got knocked over at the end. I didn't even notice that at the start.
Nothing was done.
What? Is this a drone?
The federal government eventually commits more than $14 billion to rebuilding and reinforcing the levee system around New Orleans.
The Army Corps of Engineers is spending $14.3 billion to bolster New Orleans' hurricane protection system.
Do I feel safe? Do I think the Corps of Engineers has done enough to protect this city, to protect this area? No.
New floodgates, pumps, and surge barriers are constructed. The system that exists today is substantially more robust than the one that failed in 2005. Whether it is enough remains an open question that every hurricane season brings back into focus. Katrina's name was retired by the World Meteorological Organization in April 2006. It will never be used again for an Atlantic storm. 20 years later, New Orleans is still New Orleans.
See, this is what I was trying to see.
Still plays on Frenchman Street. The food is still unlike anything else in America. The city rebuilt. But it rebuilt unevenly. And in the neighborhoods that bore the worst of the flooding, the question of whether the recovery was ever truly complete, that question has never fully gone away.
Dang, see.
Katrina didn't just drown a state. It exposed everything that was already broken underneath. And for thousands of people, the cost of that failure was permanent. The storm didn't destroy New Orleans. The system did. If you made it this far, I appreciate you being here. These videos take a lot of time to put together, and every like, comment, and subscription genuinely helps keep them going.
If you guys like the video, make sure you like and subscribe. Feel free to leave a comment. Make sure you check out my bio for the rest of my media, such as Instagram, TikTok, and my other channels, even including my Discord server. And yeah, peace.